Hello. Dun dun dun. How's everybody doing? Alright, so... let's see. Alright, how's everybody doing tonight? Thank you for joining. If you're just jumping in, thank you as well. Let me bring this down a little bit. We're going to talk about something a little bit different today. Well, not different, but let's see. We're going to talk about some questions that I have for you guys, because these are things that I wonder every single day with everything that's going on right now. With everything that's going on right now with the news. I mean, you can't open your phone or your TikTok or anything without seeing all the craziness that's going on around the world, right? And that's kind of what I want to ask right now. I'm going to ask some questions, and I'm going to touch some probably a little bit sensitive subjects. I don't know how you guys see it, but there's no judgment. I mean, you can think different from me. I'm not here to tell you what to think. I'm not here to tell you what to believe in. I am not here... I'm not here to judge you guys at all. I'm not here to preach. I'm literally just saying these are questions that I'm wrestling with, and maybe you guys are wrestling with it too. And it's this it's a little bit like, how could I explain it? These questions are pretty much just my questions. My questions, like I said, I'm not judging anyone. And it's because sometimes I feel like we forget about these things with all that's been going on, right? And what I'm trying to get at is, I'm here, like I said, I'm not here to tell you what to think. That's the last thing I want to do. I'm here to say I have questions, but I don't have answers. I ask myself these questions all the time, and maybe these questions will resonate. And we're all just trying to figure it out, right? We're all just going day by day. We all have our own perspectives, our own truths. And that's okay. Nobody's wrong for thinking differently. But I think we stop asking ourselves why we think what we think, right? And I'm not going to talk to you guys about my thoughts on your inner strength and all that today. I'm just going to share what I'm wrestling with, okay? And you might agree, you might not. And that's cool. That's the beauty of this. That we all have a different perspective of everything that goes on around us, right? Because it would be boring if we had the same thing, the same perspective, the same ideas. So, with everything that's going on right now, I think that the Epstein files are probably one of the biggest controversial things right now that keep coming out, and it keeps surprising people, and it's crazy because I remember when everything that is out now, that there's physical proof, it's pretty much things that I had thought about or I had mentioned before, and everybody thought I was crazy and it was a conspiracy theory. Not that I'm happy that these things are happening, but I don't know, I kind of just... It made too much sense. And we have names, we have evidence, we have powerful people that are connected to really, really dark, crazy things, right? And I saw different types of perspective along different types of social media. I think depending on which social media you're in, it'll be depending what side is going to come out more, right? If you guys agree, go ahead and follow, like, share, stay for a little bit so we can so we can share perspectives. I'm sorry. and as I saw these different types of perspectives, I saw some people say really absurd things, like things that I would not say myself. And sometimes I would question, like, but what got you to think that way, you know? And I watched everyone talk about it for maybe, like, I mean, it was really intense the first days, right? And then it's slowly starting to kind of, like, fade out a little bit. But obviously it's there. It's not going to go away. And I feel like in a way it's presented that way because it's kind of like testing us to see what we accept as normal. Since all this fucked up shit is going on, right? And back to arguing about, like, we lose focus of the main issue, right? We have all the proof, and everybody's on board that it's not right. But when it comes to arguing about politics, about culture, about who's doing what in their personal lives, and then all of a sudden it's like, well, yeah, but so and so did it. And I started asking myself, like, why? Why can we sustain outrage for some things, but then we're not consistent with others? Think about it. Why with all this, like, controversial things, hello Ines, why do we accept certain things and we choose not to follow through with other things? I'm not saying I have the answer, okay? I'm asking, like, a serious question. Maybe because, well, in my thoughts, it's probably because we feel powerless against people who with money or influence. I don't know, maybe it's because it's easier to be mad. To be mad at someone that we can actually reach, like your neighbor or someone online. Or maybe we're just overwhelmed and our brains just shut down. I don't know. But I asked myself, what am I actually angry about with all this stuff going on? And is my anger aimed at the things that are actually causing the harm? Or is it just at things that make me uncomfortable? Because in my idea, I don't care what side you're on, but whenever somebody dies, that's like going a little bit too far, right? It's kind of like, it's all fun and games until somebody gets hurt. And someone's saying, there's others on the other side that are saying, well, we can't do anything about it. I mean, the rich people, I mean, maybe they control the world, right? And maybe that's true. But is that a reason for you to stay quiet? Or did we just take it? Like, I'm really asking. I'm not saying, or I'm not gonna say that you're wrong for thinking that, and I'm not wrong for having these questions either. But I'm really asking, like, why do you have the beliefs that you have with everything that's going on right now? Like, why do we accept certain things? Because both sides are doing wrong. Both sides are responsible for some sort of something. So why do we accept certain things, but then we turn around for others, you know? We turn the blind eye to others. And here's something that I think about. I think one of the main conversations that I would always have with my former boss was, we always shared ideas. She is very traditional. She's very traditional. She believes that conception, that life starts at the moment of conception, right? And there's many people that believe that. And everybody has the right to believe that. I don't think they're wrong. I believe that, like, okay, this is my idea. And I've always thought this, and it never made sense to me because I always try to find the reason for things, right? Maybe I think about it too hard. But I see people who are passionate about being pro-life. And I respect that. It sometimes goes tied to your religion, to your personal experience. If you believe that life begins at conception, And if that's truly something that you firmly believe in, I'm not here to tell you that you're wrong. That's your belief, and you're entitled to it. And I respect you for that, for standing firm on your belief. But I ask myself this question. If the goal is to protect children, to make sure that life is valued, why aren't those same people that are outside abortion clinics foster parents? Or why aren't we fixing the system? I mean, we all watched the Gabriel Hernandez documentary, right? Why aren't we fixing what's supposed to protect these kids who are already here, for example, the ones that their parents didn't have a choice, didn't get a choice, or that choice was taken from them, right? And nobody's wrong. I'm not wrong in thinking those things either. I'm not saying go freaking foster a kid, but think about it. There's over 400,000 kids, 400,000 guys in foster care right now. Kids who need homes, who need support. Kids who at one point were lost like you are. Like you feel right now, but they're children who are having to experience emotions that adults are going through right now. And they have to figure it out all on their own. And I'm not saying, like I said, that everybody needs to go and foster a kid. That's a huge commitment. Having kids alone is a huge commitment. Not everybody can do it. And I accept that. But I wonder, if we put the same energy into caring for kids who are already suffering as we do for the ones that are not here yet, what would change? If you guys are watching, I really want you guys to share your thoughts. If we put energy into caring for the kids that are already here, as much as we do as preventing the abortion of the ones that have, or the ones preventing abortion in general, what would change? And the next question that I'm going to ask is probably going to be very uncomfortable, because here's like the main question, right? Yeah, listen close, and I really want you guys to answer. Don't just be listening to me, answer me. I want to know what you guys think. This is a safe. I'm not going to judge you. I'm not going to tell you you're wrong for thinking that. Shame on you. No. I really appreciate you guys listening. But I ask myself, if a kid is going to be born into abuse, into a broken home, broken system, and to people who just want him to get old enough in order to do whatever it is that they're going to do with them, is forcing that birth compassionate? Is that the compassionate choice? Or is preventing that suffering the compassionate choice? If a child is going to be born into abuse, into a broken system, into suffering, is forcing that birth compassionate? Or is it more compassionate to prevent that suffering? What do you guys think? I really want to know what everybody thinks, because I don't know, I'm always here talking to myself. Like in real life too. I shouldn't tell you guys that. There's no right or wrong answer, to be honest. I mean, I really don't know. Both sides have their own reasons, and they feel true to me in different ways, to be honest. Because I think we should be really asking the question instead of just assuming that we're right, correct? I can't go to your house and say, well, shame on you for not buying your kids some damn Converse. How dare you when you get Vans? Right? Because I don't know what bills you have. Like, who am I to tell you how to spend your money, right? What do you guys think? Don't you just hate whenever, like, your tia came and she judged you because you got this furniture instead of the other one? Or your mom is over here judging you because of your furniture, or because of the car you're driving, or because of the place you live in and the car you drive. I think we should ask ourselves, instead of actually deciding for somebody else, if we don't like people deciding for us on small things, imagine like a whole life-changing, body-changing experience. And it's not just like for 9 months, it's like forever. Because even if you decide to keep or not keep that person, you're not going to be the same person you were before you even conceived it. So there's no right or wrong answer, right? Everybody has their own opinion. And different opinions doesn't mean that there's a right or wrong answer. Are we really asking ourselves why we feel that way? Or are we just going with the crowd? Because I feel like sometimes we go with the crowd. I go with the crowd sometimes. I'm not going to lie. It's easier. I ask myself sometimes, how much of this, like whenever I'm doing something and I'm wondering, man, I could be at home right now watching some Family Guy, eating some chips in bed, a little Coke, a little Coca-Cola. I'm nice and warm with my little, woo. And then I wonder, like, did I really want to go out? Or did I just want to, like, please my friends? How many of our opinions did we arrive at our own? How many times did we just absorb information from people, and then you didn't even look it up to see if it was true? You just said, oh, well, this is going on. No, see. I'm going to tell you guys, my family, whenever I say something, I don't know why people don't believe me. They think I'm bullshitting all the time. But I think that I've surprised them lately, maybe. But I've always asked myself that, like, I mean, the people that, and do we even have an okay system to be qualifying to be a foster parent? As far as I know, they do a background check, they do your fingerprints, y todo el pedo. But then how do they end up, like, how is it that they end up in the wrong hands at the wrong time all the time? I don't understand that. And I really want somebody to answer these questions because it doesn't sit right with me. Are we just repeating what we heard? Whenever I feel like something is not mine, it's like, I feel like, he's a phony. He's a big fat phony. And it's uncomfortable because, like, sometimes the answer is, I don't know. And a lot of people don't like to say, I don't know. I remember hearing people bullshit somebody in order to not lose either a sale or to not look like they don't fit the position. So they bullshit their way out, and then they end up using words that don't even exist, right? And I realized that it's so much easier to just go with the flow because it's a safe option. It's scary to be by yourself, right? I don't like being by myself. And throughout history, like, a lot of humans have done this. Like, we follow the crowd even when we know it's wrong. When we in our hearts know that something is wrong. And I'm not saying that I'm right for asking myself these questions, or that you guys are evil for not asking yourself these questions. But I'm just really trying to understand, like, am I thinking here for myself, or do other people, like, see things that way? There's a lot of things that I know for a fact that I say them and that they resonate because obviously you stay watching or you continue watching, right? But then there's a lot of things that maybe they're the first time you hear them, or maybe they're things that you never even thought about. Personally, everything that I do right now is I'm trying to do it for myself. I'm trying to follow my instinct, my intuition, even with the small things that I do. What do you guys do? When was the last time you questioned yourself of your own beliefs? When was the last time that you asked, like, why do I think this way? Or why did I start liking this? Have you guys ever thought that? I see a bunch of you guys on here. I'd really like to know. And not because you're wrong. Thank you, Kylie. Hello. It's Kylian. I don't know if I said it right, but thank you. I appreciate it. Megan, Victoria, Estrada, Michael, Death Stage 4, Brittany, Jen, Charlotte. Thank you guys. I really appreciate it. And like I said, I mean, I don't think you guys are wrong. It's just that I'm trying to understand myself better. And maybe the most important question that we should ask ourselves is, what am I really angry about? From this whole situation that is externally out of my control, what am I angry about? Because I notice in myself and in others that sometimes our anger is misplaced. I mean, that's one of the things that I learned when I started to work on my emotional intelligence, that I was angry at the wrong things, that I was taking out my anger on people who had nothing to do with that pain. Are we mad about something else? Like, you're really honest and really think about it. Like, is it something that's actually like really bothering us but we don't want to admit? Like, I get annoyed about small things, right? Like something that doesn't really matter. Like, for example, my keys. I always lose my keys. And I always put them in a spot, and then I'm like, I'm gonna remember where I put them. And then I can't find them. And then I stop to check myself, and I'm like, okay, Rocio, you're over here cursing at yourself, but all that is doing is that it's making you not see them. Be calm. You can't find your keys because you're not supposed to be in your car right now. So if we're gonna be late, we're gonna have to be late anymore. And next thing you know, I find them. Because I'm like, I'm gonna find them right now. They're probably gonna be in the silliest place. And they end up being like literally right next to me. And I realized that I'm not actually mad about that. I'm actually stressed about having to go somewhere. Or feeling powerless that I can't freaking know where the keys are. And I'm taking it out on everything else that crosses my path. And if my wife asks me like, hey, did you find your keys? No. Do you see me with my keys? Right? And I wonder if we also do that collectively. If we're angry about people being gay, people being trans, people making different choices than we would in their personal life, is that something that's really bothering us, or what's bothering us? Are we angry about something deeper, about maybe feeling like the world is changing too fast for us? About feeling powerless, about being scared that things are going a little too fast and we don't understand them? Kind of like when your grandpa gets a brand new phone and he gets so angry because he doesn't know how to work it. That times are just moving a little too fast and you're not enjoying what's in front of you. Think about it. Why do we follow certain crowds when both crowds are like... I just feel like we really need to think about the ideas that we have, and if it's something that we are just following. In my perspective, in my life, I don't know what your situations could be, and everybody's anger is valid. Honestly, all the feelings are valid, but I think it's worth asking, like, is this anger productive? Is this benefiting me? Is it aimed at something that's actually hurting me personally? Or is it something else? Is it fear of wearing a mask? Because when I ask myself that, like, sometimes the answer is uncomfortable. Sometimes I realize that my anger says more about me than what I'm actually angry about. I think, yeah, it is. But do you guys ever ask yourself that? When you watch the news, when you watch all the files, all the content that is in them, the pictures that are not redacted, the names that are not redacted, we realize, well, in my experience, I realized that my anger is because of not knowing where to put it, not dealing with it, and just harboring it, being a little hoarder of feelings. At times, at certain things, like, it doesn't make sense to me because I'm angry because of my personal values. And my values matter just as yours. But is it, like, do my values require other people to live within my values? I don't want to make everybody gay. Just because I'm gay doesn't mean I want to eat every girl out. No. I have standards. But is it like are these values that we are holding on to and trying to instill in like everybody and make everybody follow, are they required for everybody to live by your rules so that you can be comfortable, or are we holding our own values, even though, like, what happens outside, does it affect your personal values? Does it affect your neighbor's gay? What happens to you when he has sex with his boyfriend? Do you get a heart attack? Does it keep food out of your table? I really wonder. Like, what are these things that are making us decide to be a certain way? In my perspective, I don't care if you have all the money in the world. If you can do something simply to a dog, man. If you can hurt a dog that doesn't know how to communicate with words, you're a horrible person. How am I going to trust you with my kids, or how am I going to trust you with myself with my money? If those are the morals that you hold, that at some time your urges are going to win over and you're going to slip. So what assures me that you're not going to do that with me? Would you guys trust your children to these people? If you didn't have another babysitter and you only had that one? Or what if everybody was literally just mirrors of them? And we just had a bunch of them with different faces? Would you allow them to sit with you at your table, and would you still be very firm on those beliefs? I really want to know what you guys think. I'm always talking to you guys about your inner strength, about following your intuition, and being conscious, because I feel like those things are super important right now, especially with the conscious part. I think that most of the times when we ask these questions, I just end up with things that I guess make me feel a bit more calm about things. But hey Ashley, but think about it, like, I don't think anybody's wrong for thinking differently than I do. Hello, Indy. I don't think that anybody's wrong for thinking differently than I do. We all have our own experiences, our own truths, our own paths, and it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. I think that's the most unconditional type of love, when you love all the ugly and the pretty, right? Not just the pretty things. I'm pretty and I'm petty as fuck. No, I'm kidding. That's what makes us human, guys. But I think we stopped asking questions to ourselves. We just stopped asking why, and we just started assuming we were right. Because the guy with the fancy suit told me he said so, and he's a little bit more educated than I am. Right? So I'm asking myself, and I'm inviting you guys to do too, to ask yourselves why we believe what we believe in. Where's our anger really coming from? Is it really because we're fighting things that are actually hurting someone, or is it because they're just different and you don't like different? We can think differently and still coexist. Many people live together and they like different colors. I like blue, and I can still like people that like black or that like yellow. And that's kind of what it comes down to. We think differently, we can disagree, but we can do it respectfully. Someone living their life differently doesn't take anything away from you if you think about it. Unless like you get a heart attack every time, or you get a beep every time somebody's over here fornicating. So sit with these questions, guys, because right now we're in a moment in the world where the more that you guys go with all the negative stuff, instead of uniting, instead of being there and supportive for each other, because at the end of the day, you know what, guys? If they did it, what do we say about guys? What's like the typical thing for a female to say, right? If he did it to you, what makes you? If he did it to her, what makes you think he's not gonna do it to you, right? Think about it. Anyway. Or what do they say? Like, oh, you were the other girl when you met your significant other. Well, you're gonna lose them how you earn them. Exactly, like, so since when is it morally, like, we're chasing criminals, but then we have a criminal? Like, where is that line that we draw of, like, you know what, this is a bad person? And I'm not picking sides. Both sides are, we just need a clean house. It's crazy because this is the generation that is just spending a bunch of cycles, right? All the chaos that's happening right now is because people are starting to wake up from that hypnotized idea that we all have to follow and be the same. Everybody's always looking for what makes them unique, right? What makes them in their individuality. Everybody's always trying to be seen, to stand out. So why do we choose to follow the things that we know for a fact are hurting others? And they're hurting others in a horrible way. Why do we do those things? Are they our beliefs, or are we just following something that they told us to? Oh, my wife. Linda. Listen, Linda. You ain't gonna tell me how to live my life. I do what I want. Like I said, guys, I'm not trying to convince you. I'm not trying to tell you how to think. I just really want to know. I want to know how other people see the world. Because sometimes I feel like I'm a little too creative, or I have a big imagination. And sometimes I feel like I expect too much, or I have too much hope in people. And I'm like, nah, no creo. No, they're not. Ha. But you know, it's like at the pit of your stomach, you know, 3. You know for a fact that you're right. So why do we make excuses? Why do we make excuses when we see something that's obviously wrong, but then we're like, well, I'm gonna get more money on my taxes. How is that right? When did we trade off? I don't understand. That really makes me question a lot of things, and maybe it makes me not trust a lot of people. Maybe that's what makes me very hyper vigilant, that I start to notice and catch on to things, you know? Because at this point, even a priest can have some dark secrets. And we normalize it. We make it okay. But science does prove if an event occurs multiple times, it's more likely to happen again. So then we're just going to be okay with it? That's what I'm saying. A lot of us know, and everybody's enraged. And it says in the Constitution very clearly. I just feel like we are selective when it comes at times. I mean, you have a point. Yes, it is actually multiple times where you shouldn't be okay with it, but what if you're the only one who cares? I don't think so, because why are there so many people protesting, right? And if I am the only one who thinks like that, that's what makes me unique. I would rather think that way than to go to sleep with the guilty conscience or faces in my head. I'm talking about whatever I'm dealing with, not you specifically. Well, no, I'm saying, like, in general, like, you should be proud of the way that you think, especially if you're going against the current. Because if it's your truth, then stand firm on it. By all means. I respect that. And you shouldn't be doubting. Well, the bad things that happen in your life are not bad things, actually. I was engaged and I was cheated on. He had 7 other women. Oh man, I'm so sorry. What did you learn from this, if you don't mind me asking? What was one thing in the relationship that you can say, this was a beautiful thing? I appreciate this, or if you even see those things. What was something that you went into this relationship one way and then you came out a different person? What was that one thing that you can say that you took good from that? You learn not to trust, okay. Are you more aware now of your surroundings or people, or do you read signs a little bit more? I feel like maybe in your situation, you can bullshit. Okay. And that's okay. It's okay if you need to learn, or saying that you're going to learn, or admitting these things to yourself. Because, you know what? You're already taking a step. Let's say, if it's okay with you, can we talk about your situation a little bit? Or can I offer my humble opinion? Okay. Thank you. I didn't want to just assume. Alright, so let's see here. What's happening right now? So you were in this relationship and you were engaged with this person, right? And then you found out that he was cheating on you with 7 other women. That wasn't your issue, though. That was something in him that he couldn't fulfill, or that he needed to fill within him to make himself feel valued in some way. And it's not that you didn't give him anything that he didn't have, or that he lacked, or that you lacked something. And I was 16, 25, and I turned 24. We got seriously moved into it. Okay. And it's understandable that it hurts the way it does. Because you were with him in the most transitional times of your life, probably the most chaotic. And you were probably expecting for him to be more mature than you, right? Because he's 8 years older. But then you turned out to be more mature than him, because you can tell the difference from right and wrong. You can tell the difference from commitment. Right? I've been cheated on before too. And then people would come and eat at my dinner table. And everybody around me knew. I asked everybody and their mama. And everybody felt like it wasn't their place to tell me, when all I wanted was just to know. If I was asking, it's like, don't ever think it's not your place. Sometimes somebody like me is going to need to know. No, you're not. You needed to go through that. Maybe there was something in that relationship that you made a life contract for. And you were like, you know what? I need to value myself more, and to stop blaming myself for spending this time with them. Because if I hadn't spent this time with them, I wouldn't have learned that I shouldn't be so trusting with people, because not everybody has the best interest for me. And that before I pour myself into a relationship, I need to love myself more to be able to set boundaries for myself. I can tell that it was something that completely changed you as a person. And I don't know if you growing up had a hard time or not, but personally, I was always looking for chaotic people because I thought that chaos was safety. And I blamed myself a lot of times. And then this last time when I got done really dirty, I actually realized that I couldn't be mad because you know what? I caused it. It was part of my actions. Because I didn't do certain things. And then I looked at everything else and I was like, oh shit. Well, I actually don't ever do these things. And I still sometimes don't do these things. Okay. Sometimes we feel like when we're on the internet, we connect more personally with somebody because you're not with them in the physical aspect, so you don't get carried away by that. But fishing is a thing, and it's still the same thing, you know? You need to set boundaries. Because when you set boundaries, did you ever feel uncomfortable? Did you ever feel like, okay, this is too good to be true? Did you ever feel that gut feeling like something's wrong? But you wanted to believe that he wasn't lying? Okay. That was your... Then don't be upset at yourself or at him. Be upset. Be happy that now you know how to tell your intuition. But do you care? This is what I'm saying, like, we want other people to fill that hole that we have inside our chest because we want to feel valued, right? Because maybe our parents didn't give us that attention. I have abandonment issues, huge abandonment issues. I would be so obsessive with my girlfriends that I would push them away. And then I became really detached because I got hurt really bad. And then I got hurt again, and then I'm like trying to stabilize that. But I mean, it's a work in progress. And I thought that sacrifice was love. And it's not. Think about it. How do you know how you want to be loved if you don't love yourself? It isn't. I forgot what I said. But people are just supposed to come into our lives to teach us something. No. Sacrifice is love when you're willing to let go of your shame or to come with your shame undone with this person and say, you know what, I fucked up. That's sacrifice. Because you're sacrificing your pride. You're coming to this person as you are, no makeup, no nothing. And you're saying, you know what, I messed up and I accept my faults. How can I fix this? That's sacrifice. You do not, personally, I don't want somebody that's dying for me. I want somebody that has their own goals because when I fell in love with that person, I was admiring them from a distance, probably. Or maybe I just started to notice, the little habits or the little hobbies they have. So why would we ever take away that why would we ever take that from a person? And why would somebody want to take that from you unless they're jealous at your happiness and they feel like, this girl's too happy, man, I gotta fuck it up because if not, she's gonna realize I'm a piece of shit, so I gotta go do something else to make myself feel better, to make myself feel wanted. And many times that's what I would do. I felt like, man, we're too happy right now, I gotta fuck it up. I gotta fuck it up to bring a little bit of excitement here. No es así como, like, when you want to chingar todo el tiempo, And many times, because we don't know how to identify our emotions, that gut feeling that we get, we think it's, oh my god, I'm feeling butterflies. No, girl, that's your gut saying run. But now you know. Now you know, and you're going to be able to identify those things. And now you know what? Exactly. And it's because that's the part of our trauma that's like trying to come out and say, wait, this is too good to be true. I need to test the waters. I need to make sure it still holds. And that's okay. I think that it's worse when you come into a relationship carrying all this luggage and then you want to stuff it in the person's closet, you know, trying to handle things that they didn't even know. I mean, people can't read our minds, you know? Have you ever had that argument where, like, I left and you didn't come after me? Or you should have known what I wanted to eat. I mean, at first, we can definitely do telepathy. But we have to be conscious first. And that's until later on, once you're already at your higher self. But in order to do that, you gotta be present. You gotta be confident and say, you know what, this is okay. And you have to learn how to read your body and say, let's say, for example, your body's telling you, just how you read your body when it's fucking cold outside. Ama, tengo hambre, ¿qué me hiciste de comer? My mama came in. She's like, hey. Because of our abandonment issues. How much you want to bet? And this is something that I tried little by little. I'm gonna ask. Instead of me being so confrontational, I'm gonna say, okay, you know what? There's a Shakira song that says, in Spanish, I always thought it was best when it's time to talk about two, to start with one first, with ourselves first. Because honestly, if you go up to somebody and you start telling them how they're lacking, they already know that. That's why they're acting the way they're acting, because they can't take it. They can't take the shame that the other person's not doing anything and that it's too good, and they feel that fear of losing that person or the other person having the upper hand, that they have to sabotage it in order to have some sort of control. And the problem is that sometimes many people allow ourselves to break certain boundaries because we feel or we think it's love, or because, well, we have kids. It's the worst thing you can do to your kid. And I'm talking from being a kid of divorced parents. The best you can do for your kid is run. Get out of there. Don't teach them to stay, because then we're going to be having this conversation about abandonment issues because your mom didn't say no. We're supposed to learn from our mistakes. Those years that you spent with this guy, they weren't wasted. You learned a lot. You learned how to value yourself. You learned how to trust your intuition, because now you know how to read the signs. So I bet you never again will you ever go through this, because it marked you enough to where you're going through a hard time, and it's okay to go through those hard times, because you're never going to feel like that again. So enjoy it. Enjoy your misery, but don't stay there. And that's the thing. I couldn't stand being single, because I didn't like being by myself with all my thoughts, all my insecurities. And sometimes we need that. We need that alone time to get to know ourselves a little bit better. Because most of the time when somebody asks you what your hobbies are, it takes you a minute. It should be something that comes natural. And how do you want somebody to fall in love with you when you don't know where your best features are? Or when you don't know where your best qualities are? When you don't even know how you want people to love you? I thought I wanted to be loved obsessively. And then I realized, no, I don't. I want my partner to grow, and I want to grow along with them. But I don't want to interfere in their growth. And I want to accept that if it's time, then it's time. Maybe I wasn't meant to be here the whole time. Because I love myself enough to know that everything that's happening to me is a beautiful experience that I'm learning every single day. We're in class right now. And it's what we do with those experiences, or if we decide, that's like the pivotal point right there. That's like the main, your transformational point right there, because this is this event for you is something that is, as bad as it had been for me to lose my grandma, for example. Because your whole world, everything that you knew at one point is completely gone. And you're disappointed in that version of you. You're disappointed in yourself for allowing it to happen, for allowing it to happen for so long. You're disappointed in him for not valuing you. But I feel like it's probably the anger that you have between you and yourself than you do with him. Because you're going to find somebody else, and yeah, he's probably going to hurt all the time. And right now it's going to be hard. But then a couple months back, when you're done feeling it, he's probably going to start feeling it because he's not allowing himself to do that. Once you already know what your interests are. Exactly. You see, you already knew, but you chose to turn the blind eye. So you're disappointed mainly in yourself that you knew and you still stayed. So now you know to trust your gut instinct. That's your lesson right here. To value yourself, to trust yourself a little bit more. And that's why he stayed so long. That's why he was in your life for so long. Because maybe you're too stubborn. I mean, you said you like to argue. But you set yourself this path. You set yourself the task to meet him, to be in your life for that amount of time, because maybe in your past lives you were always giving and never receiving, and you were always giving it your all and always questioning why it was never reciprocated. I learned that in getting to know myself, that sometimes like boundaries kind of just slip and people get mad. Sometimes I get mad because I'm like, ugh, I'm just going to wear these shoes and I'm going to wear these because I'm going to have to change my whole outfit because I felt these better. It's like a habit. You got to get used to it. But the more you do it, the more... They told us today when we took free that like consistency is key, and it's true. Now the last week was freaking exhausting. Like, I didn't do 3 lives I was taught that way I grew up, to read emotions and cater to others and never speak negative on anyone. Exactly. My dad was super abusive, but she never allowed, or she never even spoke bad about him. Because that was my dad. Because we're taught to suck it up to avoid disturbing the peace, right? And even my mom can admit to that. But you know what? I'm not my mom, so fuck you guys. No, I'm kidding. And that's what you need to say. You just said it yourself. You were taught because you were taught to cater to other people's emotions. So then the question of, is this my belief or is it somebody else's? Then the belief of putting your feelings aside is definitely not yours, because you know for a fact that when you do that, you feel uncomfortable. And it's not the anxiety of they're going to know what's wrong with me. No, it's the uncomfortableness of, why the fuck do I have to suck it up? And this person is talking out of their ass without considering how I'm feeling. So why do I have to stay quiet? Am I right? I have a problem with that. And I have a problem with people that stay quiet like that. Sometimes people are like, well, I don't want to be argumentative. Something I've always done was always right. You're right. But you know what? The more that you go through life, you need to embrace the pain, because you need to go through pain in order to learn not to do things, or how to learn how to read things. Nobody's right. And there is no right way to do things. Because my experiences are going to be different from yours. Your experiences are going to be different from mine. Everybody has different tastes in music and food and colors and anything. It's like fingerprints. We're all different. So we cannot expect the same outcome. You're an empath. So what you're doing is you're actually reading. You're not necessarily just reading other people's emotions, but you're feeling them. You're feeling how other people, you're projecting other people's feelings and calling them your own, but they're not. Because if you really question yourself, when you walk into a room and you feel like everybody's watching, and maybe they are watching, but then you start to think negative things. Oh my God, they can totally see that I didn't do this. You start to remember all the things you felt insecure about. And then that look that they're giving you, all of a sudden looks like the stink eye, right? When I was working at the courthouse, they used to tell me I looked like LP or whatever her name was because I had longer hair. And they would stare at me a lot. And at first I was like, what do you want? Do I know you? Fight me. But eventually I was like, they want what they can't have. And it became a joke. I just make jokes out of everything. What happens when somebody is bullying you? And I'm a big bully too, okay? With my sister and whatnot. But the second that you join in on making fun of yourself, people get bored. I hated it. Like, it's not fun. I used to pick on a coworker because he always got annoyed. And the more annoyed he got, it's like I thrived. I woke up in the morning and be like, how am I going to fuck this guy's day today? That's how evil I was. Because I lived for that thrill of knowing that I was ruining his day. It was fun stuff too, because he would get really mad. And it's because he would show me the reaction that I wanted that I would do it. You gotta just start asking yourselves, like, why do I react this way? Why do I feel this way? Is this my feeling? Had I done it different, would I have felt the same? So right now you're at a point in your life where you got multiple options. You have multiple options and you're starting to see all of them clearly. You're starting to see patterns. You're starting to see, damn, like, I'm always in this fucking situation. That's what I saw. That I had a 3-year expiration date. And then this time when the 3 years was approaching, I started to panic. And then I started to fuck it all up. Yeah, and I used to be mean because I was always jealous. I always wished that I had that family or wished that I had that dad. So if I could ruin their day in some way, because they had everything I didn't have, then I was going to do it. Now, for my coworker, I didn't wish I had anything on him. It's just that he thought he knew everything. So it was like hilarious because, I don't know, it's just hilarious because and then he would stay quiet because he never had, because, it's one of those Google people. One of those, well, I don't know if you guys see Family Guy, but there's a one that says, those people that don't stop talking about their kids. Or the guy's like, slapping slapping the other guy's face with his wallet. But anyways, I thrived on that. I loved it. But then eventually I was like, damn, like that was me at one point. I was the one getting picked on. I remember at school they used to call me he, she because I guess back then it wasn't cool to be gay. So I had this really dorky haircut. And I looked like a little boy. But I also had my feminine side, so people would pick on me. And I was picked on probably all the way until high school. And I didn't realize I was being bullied. Like, I knew people would talk shit about me, but everybody was always so nice to me. Or maybe I didn't even read the bullying because I wanted to fit in so bad. I remember there's this girl in high school that she dresses like a guy. And back in that time, I got into high school in 2004. So at that time, I mean, it's not so long ago, but it is. And I remember at that time, like, I have never talked to her. We talk now, but I hadn't talked to her before. Like, we barely started talking now when I started doing these videos, ironically. But, I always thought she was the coolest girl ever. Because she was doing all the things that I could never do. And I was always too scared to go talk. Not because I had a crush on her or anything. Nothing like that. But she embodied everything that I wanted to be. And I figure, like, man, like, I'm a loser. Like, she's never going to be my friend. And then 15 years later, here we are. She reached out in a very in a very transitional time in her life. And it's cool because, you know what? The person I was back then, I always tell my wife, like, you would have hated me if you had met me back then. And I wouldn't have been proud to have been in your life back then. Yeah, like, those people that you always remember, the people that, like, are from school and, like, you're like, why the fuck am I always thinking about this kid? And you're like, I don't like him. Or, like, it's nothing like that. But then, like, there's little things that you're like, oh shit. The same thing happened to my wife. My wife and I met when she was with her oldest baby daddy. And I was so mad because I'd be like, everybody knows that her husband is a dick, or her ex or whatever is a dick. And nobody stands up for her? Like, I couldn't understand that. Yeah, I've been married for... December was 3 years. December 16th. There's a video of her on my profile. She's gorgeous. Just gotta say. But we really have to start analyzing ourselves from an external part. And you start validating your emotions. Be your best comfort. Why? Because at the end of the day, when all the lights turn off and you're about to go to bed, it's just you and your mind. That's all there is. And sometimes even in the hardest moments, our family failed us. And you have to be ready for that. You have to be ready for that because you got to pick yourself up at that moment. Nobody's going to know what that little kid inside of you needs but you. So do whatever you feel in your heart. Right now, you're by yourself. You have all the freedom in the world. Exactly. Well, that's what I'm saying. Then ask yourself, what is this emotion? Where is it coming from? If I already know, if this doesn't feel right, like, you're not going to wear some shoes that don't fit. Right? You try them on first, walk in them a bit, and then you're like, okay, I can do this. Loose. I can do this. It's a movie called Imagine Me and You. It's like this old, one of the first gay movies or whatever. But yeah, we need to validate them because you know what? You're that little kid's role model. You're that person that little kid needed at some point. That little kid is always going to be there. And you're going to start to notice that everything just flows after that. Like, sometimes, like, in simple things that I do that bring me joy. And things that, like, for a while, I was so set on doing tattoos. And I got everything to... I mean, this room used to be a little tattoo room. Everything is there. I bought a bunch of machines and stuff. And I was tatting everybody. I wasn't practicing on any type of sense, like fake skin or whatever. I was practicing on myself. And on my wife. And on my friends. And the whole time, only one guy got infected because he insisted on using color. And I didn't want to use color. And the ink was like bad. But it made me happy, and then I left it alone because it didn't interest me anymore. But you know what? I tried it. I liked it. My carpal tunnel didn't let me. But now I know if I want a tattoo and I don't want to pay money for it, I can do it myself. You don't know unless you try. Bottom line. And depending on somebody... In order to say my life has purpose, you're never going to be happy. You're always going to be asking yourself why. Because nobody can fix you. Nobody can walk your path. Nobody can tell you what you need but yourself. Always remember that. So you need to start, that's probably one of the first things you need to do, is to validate your emotions. Because if you validate your emotions, you're going to start validating your intuition. And by validating your intuition, you don't need to be on survival mode all the time. Because you can sense it from miles away. You can smell the bullshit from miles away. And maybe that's why you ended up watching my videos. Because you needed to hear that. You needed somebody to tell you you need to snap out of it. Because all the things that happened to you were meant to happen that way. And be thankful that you experienced that. Hold on to the nice, or if you guys ever had good memories, hold on to that. But still acknowledge that he was not the one. Yeah, and I appreciate you for allowing me to give my opinion on it, because a lot of people aren't always open to hearing certain things, but I'm not here to tell you what you want to hear. Thank you, I appreciate it, thank you. I'm glad, that's what I'm saying, like, nothing is coincidence, girl. Simply your story right now, it's like, okay, now I understand. Because, in a way, we all have, everybody that's watching, or that has watched me, or that reaches out, we all have some sort of something, whether it's an addiction, whether it's abandonment issues, whether it's daddy issues, whether it's mommy issues. We all have some sort of something, and we're all lost. And we all want to feel part of something, right? But we're always told to be part of something positive, to be part of something rich, to be part of something that is popular, right? But nobody tells you to embrace your pain. Nobody tells you to look within, because all the things that you're looking externally are what are draining you. And that all those things that you're feeling are true. That you really do need to pay attention to the signs. And you have dogs, you see? If you have a chance, check out my YouTube, because you're sounding like you're in the moment of Hecate calling you to wake up. And you're hearing her, but you're starting to feel sorry for yourself, and you can't do that. You can't always play the victim, girl. Because if you play the victim, everybody's always going to make you the victim. When you feel like you're a badass, people are going to treat you how you treat yourself. If you allow yourself and say, well, I'm going to go to this place because my friend wanted to go, but I truly didn't want to go. You're allowing them to not give you that respect of saying, when you say no, of not insisting. Oh, I don't blame you, shit. I haven't gone out since I was like 19. I tell my friends, you guys still invite me. I'm gonna say no, but I still want to be included. I still like being invited, okay? I want to know what you guys are doing, but I'm not gonna go. I'm in bed by 8. I'm honestly the type of person that when I'm at the club, I'm like, why did I do this? Why did I hype everybody out? I mean, why did I hype everybody to come out? Because I'm usually the one that's like, hey, let's go drink, let's go do this, let's go do that. I go out with my wife. It's always fun to go out with your wife. You know what? I've always been tempted to see what it's like. Going out by yourself is nothing wrong too. I have a friend that used to go to the theater by himself, and I've always envied him for that. I was always like, I wonder what that feels like. You're too scared to be by yourself. Validate yourself first, and then you're going to realize that people actually are in the way. Because and then you start doing things for yourself, you're gonna really find yourself in this time right now. Exactly. Like right now everybody's what you're doing right now to like being a hermit, and I do that all the time. That's me and my wife like this last 2 years actually. If we go out for a drink. We make it a point to get ready, but then we'll just go out for literally one beer. So am I. I'm awkward because I was very like, I had a resting bitch face because I could smell the bullshit. So I knew when people came with different intentions. There was this one time my sister, my wife, and I went out, and I was not feeling it, Mr. Krabs, because I only said I wanted one beer, and my sister wanted to go to other bars, and I was like, dude, I was hyped up, but I had my beer, and I'm trying to go to bed. So then she took me to another bar with my wife, and I'm sitting next to my wife, and then this girl comes up, and she starts talking to us. And I'm over here with, like, annoyed already with my face, my bitch face. And then she's trying to make conversation with, out of all the people, me. And then my sister's like, Rocio, you're being a bitch. Telling me how I was feeling or how I was being. I was like, okay, but like I said, I expressed verbally that I did not want to be here. Yeah, I'm still here. So I'm not going to enjoy it because I don't want to be here. So then the chick keeps talking to me and they called me rude because I was like, you know what, man? I appreciate you coming to talk to me, but right now, if you can clearly see, I'm here with my wife, first of all. I was like, but I appreciate you trying to make conversation, but you can clearly see in my expression and you can hear me talking to my sister that I do not want to be here. And when you asked me one question, I said, no, thank you. Like, but you continue to do this conversation. I was like, so I'm sorry, man, but like, would you please just leave us alone? And then she was like, oh no, yeah, you're right. I mean, she was pretty cool about it, but she left. And then my sister was like, that is so embarrassing. I was like, why? She put herself in that situation because my body language was saying, get the fuck out of here. I don't want to be here. So why should I be embarrassed for reacting to her coming into my space when I clearly was not inviting her to be in my place, in my space? This is when I'm like, we don't want signs, we want to read people's minds and shit, but then whenever people are told straight, clear no, it's like the word no doesn't exist in certain languages, in certain people. And I feel like maybe because people are not used to like listening to certain things be said, because I tell people what they, not what they want to hear, but what needs to be said. I ask the questions that need to be asked. Okay, guys, we need to really ask ourselves. That's my mama. That's my mom. She's like, who's this? She's like, ay, 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 mija, ¿con quién andas? Le voy a decir. Yeah, my mama, she's like, is she talking about me today? Mami, no, I'm not talking about you, mama. ¿Qué hiciste cenar? ¿Qué hiciste cenar, mamá? Oh, yeah. Now she does. We're working on that, right, Mom? Because before she's like, no, I don't even watch your lives. Because she thought it wasn't right that I was bringing out the family truth. And I was like, you know what, Mama? You should be ashamed that we're over here. She said I twerk too much. My mama thinks I'm a tweaker, though. She pulled over on the side of the road one time and she's like, Rocio! Some crackheads at the corner of the street or whatever. I'm like, Mom, really? I'm asleep at that time. But we're working on that. We're working on that. She has old habits that we're breaking slowly. I have to say that we have improved a lot from how we were before. Because before, every conversation was an argument. But I learned to listen and to be able to express myself in a way that she hears me clearly, and that doesn't, because she carries a lot of guilt and she doesn't understand that she's a big baby that needs to be taken care of, and she needs to take care of herself. My mom has sleepovers with her friends, with their girlfriends from church. They all come to her house and they have little old lady sleepovers. She does karaoke. She has a bunch of friends. Like, when my mom is like depressed, it's because she didn't go out one weekend. She'd be like, ay, no sé, me siento bien mal. Oh, my mama is like, It's not karaoke when she grabs the microphone. It's going to be a concert because she's not going to let it go. No es cierto, ma. Es bien curada, ma. I think that's where I get mi corazón de pollo from my mom, because my mom is just too submissive. She cares too much for people. She doesn't know how to say no. And people are just mean to her, but she es un pan de Dios. Muy terca, pero she doesn't listen. She doesn't believe anything I tell her. I can tell her, Mom, this is how we do things. We're here, blah, 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 blah. She'd be like, and just scrolling on her phone. And then here comes somebody else and tells her the same exact thing. She's like, mira lo que me dijo el fulanito. She keeps us informed of the family news. She doesn't want us to inform the family news. Mi mama is very sweet. Everybody, I have a friend that's like, she adopted my mom. I haven't seen her in, like, we haven't hung out in years, since high school, and she's like, I do, mama. My mother, silly mother. Oh yeah, my mom. They taught you how to dance. Your mom said you're twerking a lot. I don't know. I'm kidding. But that's cool though. Yeah, like we're very welcoming. My mom is very. My mom is a bachata. Oh, that's cool. My mom is more of a singer. She likes to sing. She likes her little wine. She likes. She's a hopeless romantic. She likes long walks on the beach. Conversations under the moonlight. She said she had a boyfriend, but then she was like, this is what I'm saying. My mom was a very dependent woman. She stayed with my dad for too long. And she didn't know her worth. But then she was single, and she was so scared with 3 kids being single. Never worked a day in her life. And she was like 30-something being single. 3 grown-ass rebel kids, especially me. And then she finally got a boyfriend, and she was like, he told me that the dog could not sleep on the bed, and he's making me leave the dog outside every single day. She didn't like that, so she had to dump the guy. She's like, I think I want a boyfriend, but everybody in their own place. Everybody in their own houses. Because now that she's been single for so long, she's like, I don't like to have to come home and cook for somebody. If I'm hungry, I'm going to eat. If I'm not, I'm not. I'm not going to cook a whole ass meal or feel like, oh, I got to get home because I'm going to take care of them. And that's what you guys are going to feel once you get out of that trance of like, I wasn't enough. Maybe you already knew. You already knew that that person was not for you, but then you didn't follow your gut. So now you know that that little pain in your stomach does not mean that you got to fart. It doesn't mean that you got to poop or you got to throw up. It means that it's not there. It is very much, we're addicted to the chaos. But this is your time to break those chains from the chaos and say, you know what? I want a little bit of peace up in this bitch. Because it's getting a little loud out there. You know? So thank you so much for watching. Just, my other ex was hitting me. And you know what? I totally understand, because probably in those situations, it is the most helpless feeling, because that is, even if it's the most unsafe place, you feel safe there. Definitely. Thank you. I appreciate you guys for watching. Thank you so much, Indy, for interacting today and sharing your what you're going through. I really hope that anything that I said resonates and that you really start taking care of yourself, because if not, you're always going to be wondering why. And it's a horrible thing to be thinking about, to be honest. You got all this time in the world to do way more things, enjoying yourself, than to be thinking about somebody who's probably not even doing the same. So My thought has always been this. If the other person didn't give a shit about what they were doing or how you were going to feel, then why should you? Think about it. Is everything that's going on because we were told to feel that way, to believe that? Is it better for a kid to... Is it more compassionate to allow a kid to be born into a place of misery? Or is it more compassionate to not? It was risky business, guys. I'll see you tomorrow. Have a great night. Love yourselves. Take care of yourselves. And watch the replays on YouTube. Have a good night.